Welcome to the Land Cave. We're living as nerds. I'm Patrick, joined by Owen.
Hello!
And we're talking about gaming news, nerd news, all kinds of fun stuff. If you like what you see, because who wouldn't, check us out live every Thursday, 8:30-ish Eastern, 7:30-ish Central, live on Facebook. We also put this on YouTube, and you can listen to it as your favorite podcast, because it is your new favorite podcast if you're listening to this for the first time. We've been playing a lot of Final Fantasy VII. You been playing anything else?
No.
Ain't
nobody got time for that. I'm in chapter 16 now. I think there's 18 chapters, so I am in the throes of the end section. I think I know, based on what somebody else has told me, like from a non-spoiler perspective, they mentioned that there's a leveling area coming up shortly, where like if you want to like level cap before you finish the game, you can. I'm currently sitting at level 35, and so I probably have a little bit of grind to do, which I probably will do. I really hope that they give me another chance to fight Leviathan before the end, because I want to get that out of the way, but without having to like restart the game. Yeah. Because my goal right now is I want to see how many trophies I get in this natural playthrough. I'm not looking anything up. I haven't looked anything up. So I want to see how many trophies I get, and if I'm like more than like 75% of the way, I might go for the platinum. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, I did go back and get a trophy. I think I told you about that, because I've been looking afterwards, looking at what could I have done after I've completed a chapter, and the biker boy one. I was just after that, and I'm like, I had a save right before it, so I'm like, I'm just gonna do it. It only took me a couple times to get it, so it wasn't terrible. But all the others I've been doing naturally, and Leviathan, I'm assuming that's what's his name, Chadley or something, or maybe it's different, I don't know. But Shiva, I just did the Shiva thing, and that was decent. Like, it wasn't like it didn't kill me. Apparently Kevin had some trouble with her. So was that hard for you?
I lost a couple times.
You did? Okay.
But the first time that I fought her by myself. And by myself, I fought her with one party member.
Yeah.
And that was tougher. But then I came back with 3 party members and I whooped her. But Levi, and it is all Chadley. All the summons are through Chadley.
Yeah.
At least the ones that you didn't get as a pre-order bonus. Fat Chocobo is a little, but Leviathan has kicked my butt every time. Mainly, I'm not that good at the game in general. Like, it's a lot of dodging.
Yeah.
And I haven't figured it out. Apparently, once you figure out like the timings of stuff, but like I don't have any audio cues like I would normally, because I play it after my son goes to bed, and I haven't been using headphones because I have to hear him if he cries, and so I have to play like low volume. So if there is any audio cues for him or her, I don't know if Leviathan's a girl or a guy. If there is any cues for it, I don't know them, and so I'm just kind of having to figure it out, and I kind of suck at dodging. So I'm hoping to like just like level cap and then go fight it again and just be like overpower it, but we'll see how that
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I didn't know. I mean, Shiva was tough, but I did not fight her solo. Kevin said he was having some trouble with her. Like I said, I was having to heal more often than I would want. Aerith's ultimate has definitely bailed me out a few times, which I really liked that. Her limit, sorry, not her ultimate, but every now and then when I do have a bit, I've been playing a little bit of Animal Crossing, but I also been playing some OG Final Fantasy VII. Because on the Switch it's easy, and you can kick on that 3x speed. So been kind of enjoying that, kind of
the God mode.
Yeah, I didn't do God mode, but like, I thought about it just because I'm like, I'm just trying to experience the story. I've done this before, but yeah, I don't know. I may kick that on, but I've been enjoying it. Also enjoying the summer games that we're getting out here. So if you guys didn't know, Jeff Keighley had announced, since we're not having E3, we're essentially getting stuff throughout the summer from all different types of developers, including today where we got an Xbox event inside of Xbox there, and we have stuff going on all through the year, which good guy Jeff just rocking it on this, and we'll talk about it later. But I should have snagged that clip that you showed me. I may do it if you're talking here in a bit, because that was hilarious. Xbox event was today. If you're watching this live, Xbox had an Inside Xbox talking all about the Xbox Series X, kind of. But yeah, anyway, Summer Games. I'm really happy about that. Just keeping those good vibes going while we're all playing games and stuck inside, anyways. And the developers are still passionate and working on things. Let's give them time to showcase it. So.
Yeah, that's actually one thing that I meant to grab for us, because just because you mentioned we're all stuck inside.
Yeah.
Because the industry has had the best couple of months they've had since I think 2008.
Mm-hmm.
Switch is the highest selling by a mile, but even with Switch being the highest selling, the PlayStation and Xbox are still doing just fine. They're also selling hardware. Like Patrick was mentioning to me that he was having trouble finding another controller just in the wild, and that kind of speaks to like the hardware is also still like moving. What was crazy is that Animal Crossing, I believe, was either the number 2 or number 3 game this last month, and it's always crazy to me when that happens, because it's a number 2 or number 3 game happening on like Nintendo. Like whenever it's an exclusive game like that, like Call of Duty is still there, and Call of Duty is the best-selling game of the year currently, and probably will remain the best-selling game of the year. But that's a game that's literally on PC, Xbox, and PS4, whereas Animal Crossing is just Switch, and it was like the number 2 selling game of this last month, which is pretty nuts. So it's really cool to have somebody like Jeff, where E3 died, and he's not the creator of any of these events, at least so far. Like this Xbox event was clearly Microsoft. He's just promoting. He's just saying, "Hey, guy." He's created a hub, which it's just summergamefest.com. If you want to go to the website, you can also find it on his Twitter. He was also live on his Twitch account. The Game Awards Twitch account is his, if that wasn't obvious. But summergamefest.com, he's just going to be promoting stuff. He said that he has a game reveal on May 12th. Was what he said live on his Twitch stream. He said it's not a huge game reveal, but it's still a game reveal nonetheless. So he's just going to be rolling along, and I love it. I love that there's just somebody out there who's just like, obviously like the journalists are doing their thing, but just somebody out there where literally it's just all about the games. It seems, at least with Jeff, like he's talking about them and everything, but it's not a journalistic standpoint. It's just a hype man, and if there's going to be a hype man, it should be Jeff F. and Kaylee. So.
It really should. It really should. And I will say, well, he didn't. He's kind of creating a hub, and he's giving this platform. He is talking because he's been in the industry so long, and he's a great guy that a lot of people respect. That he is, drumming up things for people, or talking to people behind the scenes in order to help facilitate this. While it's not just all hosted by him, he is doing things on the side to just help facilitate that, and basically encourage developers to be like, see, people will watch, and yeah, a lot of people were watching the Xbox One, so it's working. Non-Xbox wise, I kind of go through. This is the only other news other than the Xbox. So if you're waiting for the Xbox event, we'll get there. We got a little bit more. We're not going to spoil anything, obviously, but regarding The Last of Us 2, Naughty Dog has caught the culprits, plural culprits, that leaked the Last of Us 2 cutscenes and spoilers and info, and it was not an employee as we previously thought. I felt really, or not felt bad, but I kind of kicked myself because you texted me the day after our show last week and then we found out what it is. But now it actually has given us time to kind of do some digging. And it was essentially an exploit that they were using from a previous Naughty Dog game to get into the servers, which is terrible,
Nuts.
terrible. No, it's nuts. It's terrible. It's trash. And I mentioned this to Owen. I purposely spoiled myself on this because I was so curious, and I'm not going to spoil it on here, obviously. But at first, I thought that people were upset about what we were seeing here. And it wasn't, because I thought like, oh, maybe they never didn't see the original trailer and they weren't happy with her, her and this girl. But what irritated me was like that people are now spoiling it, and they're spoiling it in a meta way where it's like if you don't know it, you won't know that it's spoiled, but it's spoiling it for you. They're taking in-game engine, like the game models, putting them into different scenarios, and it's like, how do people have time on their hands to do stuff like that, man? Like, I mean, I don't know. Get a better hobby.
I mean, we're all stuck inside. Everybody's got time, right? It's interesting that, and I think that a lot of people probably owe Naughty Dog at least a small apology. Mm-hmm. Like they'd been getting a lot of stuff about reported crunch from Schreier, which is fine. We've talked enough about crunch before, and I'm sure we'll talk about it again the next time another studio story comes up. But everybody thought that this was a disgruntled employee. Everybody thought that this was somebody who like either didn't get paid or like was fed up with the culture. Mm-hmm. And no, it was just some hackers that used. I forgot to pull, or if we even know which game it was. They somehow got into their system using like an old online thing, which is nuts to me. We don't know anything about hacking here, but like it's just crazy that's what went down.
Yeah. And
it had nothing whatsoever to do with an internal employee. That doesn't take away from the stuff that's been reported on it. It's just a thing that kind of makes you stop and be like, you know what? No, like, okay, like this just genuinely stinks. There's no nice way that you can really put this. Like, this stinks. Like, hundreds of people have worked on this game. Mm-hmm. It's a game that is following one of the most beloved games of all time, a game that is in many people's like top 5, top 10, some people, a lot of people's favorite game of all time, known to be one of the best story games of all time. We've been waiting for, like, it got announced 5 years ago, and we've been waiting for it that long. And to have somebody just put this out there, and then not only that, to have people follow it up and just continue to spread it and everything. Like today during the Xbox event, I had to make sure that I watched it in a couple different feeds to see if it like looked any better. Like, how it goes. You look it on YouTube, you look it on Twitch, you see which one's like blurry or fuzzy. I had to make sure instantly close comments, because I knew like there's just no way that people can't resist. Like, you wouldn't expect it on an Xbox stream, right? Nobody's going to talk about The Last of Us 2 here. Of course it's going to happen. So, it stinks. I kind of, at this point, I was spoiled on Final Fantasy VII. I expect to be spoiled on The Last of Us, but I'm not going out of my way to do it like Patrick did. I'm not faulting Patrick for doing it. I get why he would, curiosity can get you, but I kind of expect to be. And honestly, knowing that it's spoiled out there makes me more excited for Ghost of Tsushima. I already feel I talked about this last week where I just feel bad about Ghost of Tsushima. I thought this game would come out first. Then they pushed it back. Now they've pushed it back a third time, all because The Last of Us' release date. We don't know anything about Ghost of Tsushima. We have like 2 trailers. We have a little bit of gameplay. Like, there's something like nobody cares about spoiling that game. Sucker Punch is awesome. I've actually like slowly gotten more excited about Ghost of Tsushima than The Last of Us 2, even though obviously I'm still super excited about The Last of Us 2. The gameplay looks amazing. If you were watching live or if you're watching on YouTube, obviously you just saw that gameplay trailer. That's what sold me on the game. The story trailers really haven't done it for me, but the combat, Ellie looks like dope in this, and so I'm ready to play it. But I'm ready. I want to see more Ghosts. I'm ready to get Ghosts in my hand at this point. Yeah, no, same here. I'm excited. I mean, I was already excited about both of them, but The Last of Us, I think, is demonstrably, like you were mentioning, one of the best games. I've said demonstrably one of the best games, if not the best game, the past 10 years. I guess like Breath of the Wild and The Last of Us, they're very different, but Yeah.
But gameplay wise, story wise, to me, The Last of Us didn't have any filler. It was an amazing experience. It was a great quality story throughout. Had a great ending, but the entire time I didn't have a time where I felt like, oh, they put this in here to pad it out a little bit, which I have felt a little bit like that on Final Fantasy VII.
100%.
Yeah. So and I didn't until the part that I'm at right now, which I'll talk about later. But yeah, I felt like there's some padding, and I'm sure there's more padding to it. At the same time, I love this world. I'm enjoying it. But The Last of Us, it was cinematic in a way that I felt like all the filler got cut out, and we got a cinematic experience for 12 hours or whatever it was of greatness. So I'm still going to after reading the spoilers and everything, I'm still going to play The Last of Us. I don't know if I want to play it as soon on launch but part of me wants to buy it at launch just to support the developers on this, because I love Naughty Dog and I love what they've done. So I don't know. I'll probably get them both at launch.
Oh, well, I still have I pre-ordered on Amazon the Steelbook. I want the Steelbook, so I got that, which is like the $10 more edition. I think it's $70 instead of $60.
Okay.
And I also think it comes with like an art book. So I wasn't dropping that no matter what. I'm going to be playing it as soon as it comes in from it. This is not a case like Final Fantasy VII where I'm going to buy it on digital preloaded. I am just going to get the physical one. It's just, I know it's going to be awesome. Like, I know it's going to be good. It's just, I think in the case of The Last of Us, like, it's one of the few games that I've played where I'm like, this doesn't need a sequel. There's no, like, when you play a game so good and so well made and everything, like, how do you follow up on this game? And that's where I'm kind of at with The Last of Us 2. Like, I'm sure that they can improve everything about the mechanics of the game. That's probably the biggest criticism of the original Last of Us is the mechanics. Like, it as good as it runs, there's still like times where like the stealth is kind of janky and like the combat's only okay, but you don't care because the world is so good. So they're going to improve on that. It's just the ending of The Last of Us was perfect, and so to pick it up is really a thing of like, can your writing really get better than it already was? Is it gonna suffer like a Back to the Future 2, or are we gonna get Empire? You know, like which way are we gonna go on this?
You didn't like Back to the Future 2, or you just think
it wasn't as good as Back to the Future 1? Back to the Future 1 is one of the greatest movies ever.
No, I'll agree with that. And I will say I have a similar scenario with Back to the Future movies that I do with Star Wars movies, where when I was a kid, Back to the Future 2 was my favorite. As an adult, I know Back to the Future 1 is a better movie, and it's much better. It's overall, it is probably a masterpiece. Where Back to the Future 2 isn't. But when I was a kid, those hoverboards were awesome. So I loved Back to the Future 2 for like the future stuff. But yeah.
Aside from them not recognizing Marty in the, like, once he comes back to 1985, like, that's the only part of it, the movie, that kind of doesn't make sense. Yeah. You know, like they don't even see the resemblance, or, you know, is it really just like a passing thing where they're like, well, we only knew this guy for like 2 days, you know, like a week. Yeah. And, you know, like now we just use that name. It had to come from somewhere, right? Like, but other than that, it's a 10. Like, Back to the Future is a 10 to me. Back to the Future 2 is not a 10. It's a fun movie.
I'll agree with you on that. Where Empire is a better movie than A New Hope. I mean, in regards to overall, I think it's a better movie. They had more money, and there's less like weird edits and other other things that you only catch because
even if I think A New Hope is superior. But
what's up?
I like A New Hope better, but I recognize from I don't like saying this, from an objective standpoint, that there's a lot of things that are better about Empire. It's tighter. Yeah. It's but so that's what I'm saying with The Last of Us 2, like which version of the sequel are we getting? You know, I won't harp on it too. We got a month to find out. I really doubt that we're going to say anything else about this game until it comes out, unless something crazy happens.
Yeah, I think so. I'm surprised that with all the leaks and stuff that they weren't like, okay, you know what, we're just going to release it, you know, with like May, the original release date. Where they're like, we're just going to release it digitally early because of everything going on.
Well, Druckmann did come out a couple days ago and say, like, because of this delay, we actually got to polish a little bit more, so the game's like even better than it was originally going to be when it has gone gold. And now I didn't include that in there. The game has gone gold as of this week.
Not surprising. Not surprising. This is one of the most anticipated games. I haven't pre-ordered it yet, but I'm probably going to. Probably pre-order Ghosts 2 because yeah, it looks like a great experience and a different experience. Compared to some of the other games that have come out. And like you mentioned last show, we were talking about where it's like it's a Western a Western game development company telling a Japanese story, which immediately made me think of the Avatar: The Last Airbender, because that is American made, but they were like, I want to do an anime, but an American. Yeah.
Do you call Last Airbender an anime when you refer to it?
I don't. I mean,
I do.
You do? Okay. I don't because
it's very clearly made in the anime style.
It's made in the anime style, but I guess I don't usually call it that because it's not from Japan. It's made in the style though. But yeah, at the same time, I never have been asked that question before. I was just like, yeah, it's American made, but it's made in the style. So, but yeah, it's definitely anime style. No argument on that.
It's the thing. Like it's just like with JRPGs, like with Final Fantasy VII. Are we considering like Final Fantasy VII like a JRPG? And like, yes, of course it is. It's made in Japan. Yeah. Although it's an action RPG, it's not really a traditional JRPG. And so like when you get like a true turn-based game that's not made in Japan, would you call it that, or would you just call it an RPG? Like, it's a weird, genres mean nothing anymore. But like Last Airbender to me is an anime, and like I honestly didn't even know that it was American until a couple of years ago.
Okay, so really? Okay.
I just thought it had a really good dub.
Yeah, really good dub. It's good stuff. I have not finished it, by the way, and it's coming out on Netflix later this month. So I plan on finishing it for that. Anyways, you probably listening to us and waiting to hear our thoughts on the Xbox event that happened today. And my first impressions were our video and our audio is so much better. Like as soon as this guy kicked on, I forgot to write down his name. Hopefully it'll pop up here in a second. But he's part of the marketing team, and I thought it was funny. Okay, he's telling the joke. He's basically having the joke of the refrigerator behind him, and he was talking about it being the most powerful refrigerator. I was like, okay, that's funny. His green screen effect sucked. I think he was using like a Zoom background instead of an actual green screen. It was just that was my initial impression. Funny that he did it, but the big takeaway from this is that they keep talking about optimized for Series X. That was one of the buzz.
Was the buzzword?
I forgot to write it down, but they were talking about was it not smart loading? I can't remember what the term was that showed up on the bottom of the screen in a few of them. It may show up here in a bit, but but we had some interesting ones. The first one that showed up was Bright Memory Infinite, and I will say at the beginning of this, by the way, they said it's we listened to the people on the internet, and we're going to have all of this gameplay and no cinematics. It's all gameplay and in-game footage. And what they meant was in-engine footage. And what we got, other than what you're seeing here, this is gameplay. We got a ton of in-engine cutscenes, not gameplay.
This is one of the few games we actually did get some gameplay.
Yeah. I was excited about this, and even though as I was watching it, I'm like, I don't like the mashup of styles, because it's like someone. And we didn't find out, like, this is a single person who created this thing.
Yeah.
One person. I'm like, you know what? I give him props for that, because
I'm now impressed.
I am impressed now, because I thought this was a team, and I started critiquing it differently, thinking this was a AA or AAA game. And I was like, I've literally looked at this and said, it looks like the assets of like 5 different games put together. And
you thought that car was a DeLorean, right?
I thought the car was a DeLorean.
Okay.
I thought the car was a DeLorean. The enemies, I was like, why is this guy from Rome here? There was just this big disconnect with the different assets. And I was like, why do we have Call of Duty in a feudal Japan scenario? So it was a big mashup. And then when I found out a single person created this, I'm like, okay, look, I can critique their vision, but that was pretty awesome for a single person to create. This is Bright Memory Infinite, all made by a single individual. And I didn't talk about like when it comes out or when it's coming out or anything. So, but I'm curious to see if this was created by a single individual and then it's going to be given to a studio, or they're pairing this individual with a studio to finalize it. But it was an interesting way to kick it off.
Yeah. At first, honestly, I thought I was like, we looking at like the Crysis remaster that we talked about? Like at the very first few 10, 20 seconds, I was like, this looks a lot like Crysis, but because I don't even remember the beginning of Crysis. But then he's fighting a guy with a sword, and I'm like, this is not Crysis. I was impressed enough. I'm not gonna rag on a game made by one guy. No. From that perspective, a dude making an FPS like this that looked as clean as it did is impressive. Apparently, he put out a thing at some point on Steam where this is playable for a few minutes, and I don't know what a few minutes means. It could be 10, it could be 20, and then a lot of people encouraged him to do more, and so I think it came from there. So I'm gonna guess, since it opened this, I would think that Microsoft said, "Hey, finish your game." Yeah. So we'll see. I didn't see who was publishing it, but I imagine that Microsoft threw a little money this dude's way to do it. I think he's from I don't want to get it wrong. I think he's from Korea.
Oh, it's Korea. Okay. For some reason, I always thought he was from China, but no, that was a very interesting way to kick it off. So
I could be wrong, but I think it was Korea. But.
It's in my notes of my notes of games to watch out for.
Sure.
Which eventually I'll probably set up as some Google alerts or something, but I just haven't dove into it yet. After that, we got Dirt 5, which I really didn't care about.
Nope.
I mean,
I can move on.
I've played enough of these. That's fine. Then we had Scorn, which immediately when I saw it, it's funny because you were typing. I was watching you in the doc when this came on, and you were like, "This looks like Alien."
It does.
Immediately, I was like, "Yeah, it looks like Alien." A lot of this looks like H.R. Geiger's artwork, and which is what he basically did all of the conceptual stuff for Alien. Obviously, very mature looking. Very, some of the stuff looks not safe for kids. But I don't know what the gameplay is going to be like. This world intrigues me. It just kind of disgusts me a little bit. But again, no gameplay, which is why I queued up this little thing. What was that?
This is where, while you're queuing that up, this is where the start of this trailer, so we had the first one that had gameplay. I was like, okay, cool, that's a cool way to start it off on a one-man team. Cool. Yeah. Dirt, all right, I guess you gotta throw a racing game in there. And then we got this game where I was like, all right, game one of no gameplay. While it was going on, I was like Alien, and then I was like Alien versus Predator, and then eventually it was like, okay, this is neither, this is just a really weird thing. But that we get this video where we have no idea what's going on, we have no context, and then no gameplay to go with it. Annoying. So moving on.
Yep. No, I was just gonna say I had this queued up because Jeff Keighley was doing his own stream, his reaction, and he queued up a little text coming up here. There it is. Yeah, gameplay does not equal in-game footage, because that's what we were seeing. We were seeing a lot of in-game footage. We were seeing, and by that, if you guys don't know what we're referring to when we say in-game footage, we're saying it's cinematic, it's planned out, it's not actual gameplay, but it's using the same graphics and the same engine that is used for the gameplay. So back in the day, like I was talking about Final Fantasy VII, you had cutscenes that were all pre-rendered that looked completely different than the in-game engine, and that's basically, we got a lot of that in here. As a person who watches a lot of horror movies, this trailer made me uncomfortable. in a good way. Like it was doing what it was supposed to do and make me uncomfortable. I'm curious about it, but I didn't learn anything about it. I feel
I'm out.
Yeah, I feel similar about Corvs. I don't know if you do, but I was just like, okay, I see some stuff, and she's important, and I think there's 10 seconds of gameplay in here. But it's not even enough gameplay to understand what the heck I'm doing. I'm flying a ship, but I don't care enough about this, so I'm out on that too.
If it's a space combat game,
Yeah,
I'm always interested in a good space combat game. There was like a scene in there that reminded me of Control.
mm-hmm.
That part where like she's in that red cubey area that like totally had Control vibes to it. I'm interested in it. Like, this is a game that I'm going to play, but like I would have rather seen space combat. Like showed me what you're doing with that little shippy there. You know, like I'm all about it. Like bring it. But we saw a no context trailer. Like just like you were saying, like I have no idea what her motivation. I don't know who she is or anything. So if you're not going to show me who she is. Mm-hmm. Then at least show me what the gameplay is like. Exactly.
Because it's like, she's really important, and here's flashes of gameplay. Why is she important? Because she is. Okay, I'm not doubting that she's important, but can you give me something else? Because at the same time, looking back at it now, because I was underwhelmed when I saw it. Looking back at it now, I'm like, okay, space combat. Okay, maybe it's good. And then I just kind of, as Owen was talking, I got the back of my mind going, what if this is like a modern Star Fox? Like, not that this is Star Fox, but like Star Fox was awesome, and it was like almost all. I mean, who cared about the cutscenes on that? The gameplay was great, and getting your other squad members like message, telling you, what's going on and stuff. Like, maybe it's something like that, which is why I wish there was more of that, by the way, in Nier Automata, because the stuff that I got to play of that I really liked, and then it was like, and you're gonna be on the ground for pretty much the rest of the game. So I'm not completely out on this, but the next one made me feel old, because he's saying that Madden was older than him. So I had to Google like when the first Madden came out, and I forgot that in 1988. So
when he says him, he's talking about Patrick Mahomes, Super Bowl winning quarterback.
Yeah, that guy. Yeah, I forgot his name. I knew who he was, but I was like, that guy.
I even put it in the document for you, Mahomes.
I know. Well, because you were like, yeah, it showed footage of him like, and I was like, I literally read that, and I was like, I think it was the guy that was the quarterback that was talking. Obviously, I don't watch football, but man, this game, I mean, the Madden series continues to look more and more like the NFL, to the point where, there's people who are joking about like a lot of modern games where if you don't know better and you're just like catching it out of the corner of your eye, and if you're not a gamer, you may mistake some of this for just people watching football. Same thing with I know you probably saw it, the guy that was streaming UFC, like, and pretending it was gameplay. Like, the UFC stuff is not quite there, but the camera angles are close enough that it we're just getting to the point now where things look almost like the real event. And I mean, I haven't played a Madden game in forever, but this one looked really good. You don't usually play the Madden ones, do you?
I don't usually play sports games. I like playing games that I'm good at. I'm not good at sports games. Like, I'll watch. I could talk. Like Patrick didn't even know who won the Super Bowl, so I could talk to you about the actual sports. The thing, this was not arguably, this was 100% the biggest studio and game in this thing, and we got 3 seconds of. The gameplay was Mahomes scoring a touchdown, and it was about 3 or 4 seconds long. Again, it was a tease too. Is like they mentioned that they're going to go into it more in the coming weeks. Mm-hmm. I don't care. I don't care about you going into it more in the coming. I didn't even care about seeing sports gameplay. But honestly, if you were going to show off something good that a dope machine like the Series X can do, like a sports simulation game is a great example of like, look how well this game is running on this system, and they didn't take advantage of that. they're going to take advantage of it later. It's just why even show it?
Yeah.
You know?
No, I agree. Which actually, that's how I felt about Bloodlines. So Vampire the Masquerade, Bloodlines 2, which, by the way...
I thought this was We Happy Few too.
I thought it was
for the
too.
first like 3 minutes.
At the very beginning, I thought it was We Happy Few. I'm a fan of Vampire the Masquerade. I loved Bloodlines back in the day on PC. I thought, like you said, it was We Happy Few. And now knowing that this is Bloodlines 2, this game has been in development for quite a while. The motion and the textures, the character models, the way that they're dancing reminds me of like an Xbox One launch title. Like, that's what this looked like to me. If it wasn't Vampire the Masquerade and it didn't have somewhat of a built-in fan base, I think a lot of people are probably gonna scrutinize the heck out of this from a graphics perspective. I'm probably going to check it out because this has been something I've been wanting to play. But this right here, his movement, it just looks so stifled that it doesn't look natural at all. Like Grand Theft Auto 5 movement is more natural than this guy. I know it's not your thing. If this was not Vampire the Masquerade, I would have been out. I would have been like, this looks like something that came out 10 years ago. So,
yep, no interest.
That's how you felt too. Okay, Call of the Sea, by the way, I was intrigued by. I was intrigued by this one, and it was
That's
one of those.
Literally what I wrote was intrigued.
Yeah, it was like a slow burn. I was like, okay. The more that I watched, the more that I got intrigued by it. It was an example of a game that it didn't give away too much. It gave me just enough to get hooked. And now I'm like, okay, except minus gameplay again. No gameplay. I liked the environments. I liked the setup, and the way that I'm assuming there's a ton of puzzles to this is what it kind of seems like. Because when I was watching
it, I'm like Myst, a Witness, like a Myst.
Yep, that's what I was thinking. Like, and then this reminded me of Journey here. So
yep,
I was like, I'm all in on this. Like. Yep. Let me put it this way: I'm all in. So far, I'm invested, and I'm intrigued enough that I will be happy to watch more. I've not pre-ordered it or anything. Not that I've seen it up for pre-order, but it's enough that I'm like, this is one of the better ones that came out, and it was not something I knew about. So
here's the thing about this game, and why I'm going to talk about it just for a minute. But everything that Patrick said, I pretty much echo. So I don't really have anything to add in terms of like what made me interested. But what stuck this for me is, as we go on in this was like one of the few games in this presentation that was not like dark and gritty and like super, what I'm going to call negative. It's, I know that like you can think of it differently, but when you're looking at like the Scorn video and you're looking at how like kind of gross and like creepy feeling that is, then you get to Vampire the Masquerade. You get Vampire the Masquerade, and then there's a couple games coming up after this. There's a psychological horror game. There's another like. I'm not saying that they need to tailor everything towards me, but there needs to be some balance here, especially given what's going on right now. Like, read the room. Like, don't you think that I want to be a little happier watching this? Like, most of these games, even if I'm interested in playing them, which I'm not, but even if I was, like, don't you think that maybe show me those later? Like, maybe show me a couple of the really good ones, like the Scorn. Like, that's one that I think that's worth showing. Like Patrick mentioned, where like that like creeped him out in like a good way type of thing, whereas like that made him interested. Like, that's one worth showing. But like, honestly, like this Vampire the Masquerade thing, like, you can save it because it didn't look that good anyway. Where's the good stuff? Where's the jolly? Where's the happy? Where's just like color? Like, why I saw it on Twitter afterwards, and I don't know who said it, was just somebody random that I follow. Like, is Nintendo the only like people that are allowed to use color in their live broadcasts whenever it comes to their video games? Like, is PlayStation and Xbox just like reserved to dark tones for all this? And again, this probably makes me sound like I don't know what you want to call it, but it probably makes me sound like something, like maybe like kind of like wussy or something like that. But and it's not that. It's just I'm at a point in my life where like I like, generally speaking, I like not necessarily happier things, but I like color. I don't want to feel down and dark all the time. And that was honestly the first thing that intrigued me about this Call of the Sea. I now want to play the game based on the rest of the trailer, but the way that it started, I was like, oh, color. Wow, the color green.
Yeah.
It's so good. We need more of that.
Yeah, no, I almost feel
not everything has to be dark and gritty, guys.
I feel like a lot of game developers and like maybe just the publishers, I don't know what it is, like I feel like they think first of all that's going to make more money. Second of all, like I think they're stuck in a mindset that, like, you know, I'll admit, like I was in like the last 2 years of high school and like the first couple of years of college where I was like, I'm really cool. And the stuff that you like isn't as cool as the stuff that I like because it's, you know, it's
Sure.
like whatever. Like, I feel like that's the mentality where people are like, they're not that they're afraid to, but like someone who's making a game that's just generally joyful and happy and a great experience like Mario, that's just unabashedly just fun. They feel like people are just going to turn it down because it's not serious. But those games can still be serious and still make a ton of money like Mario does. So,
well, I mean, you hear it all the time. Like there's people where like even though Rogue One is a great movie.
Yeah.
You know, we're going to go back to Star Wars as we do. Rogue One is a great movie. Don't get me wrong at all. Loved Rogue One. It was awesome. But honestly, I feel like the reason why it's so beloved is because for years, you just hear that, I want a dark and gritty Star Wars movie. Why?
Yeah.
What? Why does everything like I want to dark? Like you can pick any franchise that you want, and people are like, I want a dark and gritty version of this. Like I want a dark and gritty Superman. I want a dark and gritty Iron Man. I want a dark and gritty Star Wars. Why does not everything has to be dark and gritty? I get it. I get that you want a tonal shift, maybe mix it up a little bit, but not every single thing has to be dark and gritty. It has its place. There are times where even I'm interested. Again, Rogue One, awesome movie.
Yeah.
Well written, everything about it. But like I just don't need it in every single game. And I think Patrick's 100% correct where he's like, people are afraid.
Yeah. Yeah. But speaking of that in dark and gritty, I got my The Child Black Series, and he is so small. And he comes with a little bowl for his broth, and it's so small too. And that's awesome.
It's so small. You sounded like Garth just then. It's so small too. I like to play.
I love it. So it even has the little ball that he plays with, and that is so tiny that I literally have it in this little plastic case. Thankfully, it came with a little plastic case for his technical stuff, because I'm like, I would lose this. It's like a speck of dirt, but it's adorable and I love it, and I can't wait for my Mandalorian to go with him. But back into more dark and gritty stuff, we got The Ascent, which honestly I thought the environment was interesting, and I'm not trashing twin stick shooters or anything. As soon as I saw that it was an isometric view, I was like, I don't know if I would want to play it. Like, it looks like a great like Mass Effect-esque world, like a dark Mass Effect, whatever.
Yeah.
And then it got into isometric. I'm like, I don't know if I would enjoy it. It may be good, but I feel like I'm not going to enjoy the graphics as much with it being this viewpoint.
I was in a Discord group with some gaming people that I talked to, and one of them made the comment where it's like, there's no better way to show off the impressiveness of your hardware than a twin stick isometric shooter.
Yeah, and by the way, this is coming from a guy who's playing Baldur's Gate 2 on the Switch. Okay, so
yeah,
I don't have a problem with isometric. Diablo 2 are some of my favorite games ever. I don't have a problem with that at all. But yeah, like you said, like, you're not really showing off the world.
I will give credit though. They showed gameplay. That was longer than 10 seconds. They showed how the game played, and it did in terms of it. Like if you like the twin sticks,
Yeah.
it looks good. Like it looks like the engine ran well. Like the little character models, they did look dope. Like I do want to give credit. I'm not bashing this game whatsoever at all without ever playing it and never having heard of it before today. It was just kind of a thing of like, okay, fine, but props, they showed gameplay. Good job, Ascent.
And part of this is as if you guys listen to the show enough, you know that we kind of prioritize games like, do we want to play it, and two, are we going to have time to play it? Because we don't have enough time to play all the games that are coming out. We have big boy responsibilities and adult things that we have to do that are important.
Or girl.
What's that?
Or you said big boy responsibility. We're both boys.
We're both boys.
Yeah, I was just making sure, just in case anybody was listening. Big girl responsibilities.
Yeah, big girl responsibilities are just as important as big boy responsibilities. I was only using that phrase because we happen to both be boys.
Yeah, I know.
I know. 100%. Yeah. We just have things we have to do in life. Work gets crazy, and like you were talking about, sometimes you don't want to just play video games every single night, especially with what's going on right now. It's like, I'm not doing anything. I need to do something different. We just went to the beach, by the way, before the show, because we were like, we are stuck. Okay, I don't know if you saw on Facebook, but like we've been feeling stuck inside. We're like, oh, beaches are open. Let's go to one that we know is not very populated and just stay away from everybody and just get our feet in the water. And that's it.
We literally we take a 30 to 45 minute walk every night after dinner right now.
Yeah.
And it's not I've been trying to think of, because it's a good habit for us to get into too, just kind of showing, like, as Theodore gets a little older, showing, a little exercise. We don't exercise a whole lot, but like showing a little bit of activism, but like not activism,
activity.
Active lifestyle.
Active lifestyle. Yeah.
There you go. Activity. Yeah. But I'm now worried, like, what happens when July hits and I don't want to go outside anymore, because I'm enjoying them. We're getting. That's when me and her talk about our day. Like, it's nice, and so
keep that going. Man. Keep that going. Like you said, you get to talk about your day. You're getting to decompress away from a screen. These things are important. Like, these are things that need to keep going on afterwards. And yeah, when Theodore gets older, you'll be able to be more active with him. So if he's playing on a playground, you could play with him a little bit, as opposed to just like sitting on the park bench and going, I can't do that. Like, you hear a lot of parents be like, oh, I'm not going to run around, or I'm not going to do that and that. You may not run, but maybe you do, maybe you don't. But being able to actually like stoop down and like play with him in like a sandbox and stuff, those things are going to be important for him. So anyways, we're not parental experts, but we're big kids at heart. More dark and gloomy, The Medium, which I almost put on here. Again, no gameplay, but eventually we got a little bit. But even the little tiny bit that we got, I was just like, I don't really know. I still have no context of what's going on or what I would be doing in the game. And the interview didn't help it, in my opinion. They interviewed the
made it worse.
Yeah, it may have made it worse. This is something that's straight up my alley. And I was like, you've got to give me a reason other than like psychological horror. I'm like, okay, and what? Like, who's this guy? Maybe, like, give me something. Like, is that, like, I don't know. And then
I'll say this part coming up where the cigarette hits the ground probably had to be one of the best looking moments, in terms of looking good. That cigarette hitting the ground was the best looking thing that I saw the entire presentation.
And the snow does look good too. It's subtle, but it looks good. Also the weirdness of, like, because you see her visibly pregnant and then she has a knife, and I'm like, oh no. And then her hands start bleeding. I'm like, okay, that's a nice fake out. Like, you had me thinking one thing and changed it up, but still. Yeah, the interview made it worse. I don't know if I did not. I should have been. I am your target audience on this, and I thought it was okay. I thought it was mediocre. And the fact that they kept touting the I didn't write his name down, but the composer of Silent Hill is who they have doing the music for this. That was what they kept touting, and immediately I was thinking of when Whitney and I see like trailers for animated movies. If they keep talking about the voice cast, like Will Smith is in this and Beyonce, we're immediately like, okay, this is going to be trash. Like, you had to tell me that they're in it for me to go see it. That's how I felt.
I don't have anything to say about this game. I'm not interested.
All right.
You know that
Yeah.
the second they said psychological horror game, I was
Yeah,
out.
you were out. Okay, so Scarlet Nexus. This one, and I almost talked about this when you were talking about anime earlier on in the show. This felt like there were 3 or 4 different design aspects to the game that they just decided to keep all of it, and it wasn't even a fun like JRPG thing where it's like, yeah, let's fight a house and then you fight this, and none of the monsters actually make sense together. These things did not make sense to me. And then when you see the character models are the anime style, but the monsters aren't, texture wise, character design wise, I'm like, I feel like that you've taken an anime character model and you've put him into a different game, other than the purple. Like, I just didn't feel like the art styles were fitting with the NPCs versus the character versus the environment. Maybe it's just me, but I felt like that was jarring.
I think it looked weird in the initial video trailer aspect of it. Once they got into showing in engine, it looked like the styles matched. And so there's something weird about how the trailer starts, where at first I was out. And then they did show some gameplay and they showed some combat, and but this, like, that fighting, that thing, I was in.
That looks cool.
The thing about this game, it's made by Bandai Namco, which they're killing it. They're having an awesome run this generation.
Yeah.
It looks like Astral Chain though, which is Platinum Games. Like, tell me you didn't get Astral Chain vibes watching this. Like, it looks exactly like Astral Chain. Not exact, but like, they look like, I was like, did somebody leave Platinum and it was like, hey, Bandai Namco, I got a good idea for a game? I don't know. It looks so similar to me that I don't mind.
Sure.
What is it about being the best form of flattery?
The imitation is the sincerest form of flattery.
Yeah. And so, whatever. And honestly, I think Bandai Namco is generally a better developer than Platinum is. And so this was the only other game where I was like, aside from Valhalla, which I'll complain about in a second, but aside from Assassin's Creed, this was the only other game where I was like, yeah, that's on a list.
Yeah.
Unless the reviews are so bad, I'm in for this game.
Sure. And don't get me wrong, by the way, like, I love, like, Bandai Namco knocks it out of the park. The gameplay is probably going to be great. I was critiquing like the art styles in that, because as soon as I got to see some fighting, I was like, okay, that does look fun. That looks action packed. It looks like it could be really good. To me, it was just this weird jarring thing, like, where I feel like it was too much of a mashup. And actually, I just remember Kevin texted me almost the same thing, where he's like they didn't quite gel together. That being said, like, when you see them in gameplay, it wasn't as bad. I just felt like the character models close up on the anime characters, and then seeing the textures, like, it looked like real flowers but a cartoon character's face, and it was just this. There were multiple aspects of that threw me off. At the same time, the gameplay is going to rock, so I can't really knock it. The next one we had, which was relatively brief, was Second Extraction. It was so brief that, like, I turned away to write down some notes, and came back to it and was like, oh, I almost missed this trailer. Like you said on here.
You mean Turok?
Yeah, new Turok. Yeah, basically. Yeah,
this game might as well be called Turok.
Yeah, you got a little echo, by the way. I don't know what's going on there.
I don't know.
Okay, but it looked like Turok. It didn't look bad. It looks like it could be pretty fun. I see 2 people standing next to each other. I hope that means some couch co-op, maybe some regular co-op, but, like, I love me some couch co-op. And the fact that I couldn't find an Xbox One controller, I bought a wired controller, by the way. I broke down, I know. I had ended up buying a wired controller because it was either that or pay scalpers or buy the $100 plus Xbox controllers. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to.
The Xbox Elite?
Yeah, Xbox Elite, and there's some others. There's some others too. I can't remember if they were Elite or some custom paint designs that were, I think, were 80. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to do that. $60, like, is fine for a controller. If it is an Elite controller, like I would decide to do that. I'm literally trying to buy a second controller to play some Gears of War. Like that's all I was trying to do. So yeah, I have a wired controller now, and I'm gonna I'll probably use it and let the wife play with the wireless controller and play some Gears of War. This one looked fun.
You're so nice.
I try, but this one looked fun.
It looks arcadey.
It did. I'm
into shoot some velociraptors. Who's not into, who doesn't want to shoot a few dinosaurs now and again?
Of course. The next one that came up, and I'm trying to go through these a little quick because there were so many, but was Yakuza Like a Dragon, which, first of all, the setup of this game was like, I was like, this is straight up Old Boy, if you're familiar with the movie. It was like, I felt like this is almost exactly Old Boy. And I've been wanting to get into the Yakuza games. The plot of this game immediately drew me in, where he's like, you're going to take the fall. You're going to get arrested. So because this other guy can't afford to get arrested. He's like, yeah, I'm loyal. Of course I'll get arrested. And everything's changed when he gets out. He's not getting the homecoming that he wants, and he gets some revenge going on. I was hooked on the story. Like, and I know the other Yakuza games are great that I just haven't played, but I think this one looks pretty cool. I like the Saints Row-esque over the topness of some of it, and some you got some straight up like WWE like fighting moves that he does. I thought.
Then you should, in reference to this, since you've been looking to get into it, because we've been talking about Game Pass a little bit, and you now have a shiny another Xbox controller for you. Yakuza 0 and Kiwami, I believe, Game Pass. Yeah. So I think Yakuza 0 is supposed to be like the beginning of I don't know. There's a lot of Yakuza games.
Yeah.
There's another podcast that I listen to where they love this series. It's not necessarily like the best gameplay in the world, but they love the story and they love the world. And so, I think I think there's a good tie-in here, because the other thing that they mentioned, and props to them, literally, like, I think the only other one that got like a year, I think, Corvs said 2021, but Yakuza was the only one that said we are a Series X launch. We're in the Series X launch lineup.
Yeah.
Which obviously we don't know when that is, but they gave us at least a timeline.
Yeah, and we do know, by the way, they've already told us this, that at launch there are no exclusives, meaning it's exclusive to the Xbox Series X. So if it's an Xbox exclusive, you're going to be able to play it on your Xbox One, Xbox One X. So more of a reason to say, like, if you want to wait, it's okay. That being said, they are optimizing these games for Xbox Series X, so they're going to look amazing. They're going to play amazing. But this is one of the first launches where I'm like, I don't see a reason to buy this console at launch. Usually, I'm all in. I'm like, no, I'm 100% in for XYZ. We don't know yet about PlayStation launches yet, so obviously our opinions may change as we get close. Right now, I don't see a reason to buy the Xbox Series X this year.
I don't see a reason to buy it at all. So I'm not, like, especially if the Lockhart rumor is true.
Yeah.
About an xCloud dongle.
That's true.
I'm gonna get the xCloud dongle.
Yeah.
I haven't, like, I'm sure that the Series X is great hardware, and it probably is. And if you've gotten back in recently with your Xbox One S, or even the Xbox One X, like, the Series X is dope hardware, and it's good. But we already know that with my PlayStation library, there's no matter what, I'm getting a PS5. It literally is just, am I throwing out the $500 or $600 bucks or whatever it's going to be for Series X? And the answer is no, especially after I messaged Patrick about this week. I'm late to the party on this, but I found out Game Pass on PC is $5.
Yeah.
And that means every Xbox game, every Xbox first party game will be on PC as well. That's been the path that they're already on. So $5 a month for that, and I have a capable PC that can probably run most things, at least for a while. And then I've set my price point on the dongle. If the dongle is $150 or less, I will get that with Game Pass.
Yeah.
Whatever it is. So there's nothing selling me on this, and like we have a couple of games left, but I'll just say it now. I think we have one game left. And super disappointing that Assassin's Creed advertised this. I'll just talk about this real quick. Then they Assassin's Creed tweeted out first gameplay reveal. There was nothing that you could identify as gameplay. You're guessing.
Yeah, you're guessing when you watch this. So I had this. I was excited about this. The wife's a huge Assassin's Creed fan. I'm a huge Assassin's Creed fan. I feel like they're not as good as they have been in the past. I feel like the first couple were better when it came to the gameplay and came to the story and everything. Thought I had this queued up right with the gameplay and the animation, but this is the post interview. This is the post interview. Damn it. But yeah, I'll see if I can cue that up while we talk. But no, like you said, we barely got anything. You couldn't tell if part of it was gameplay versus cinematic. It was brief, so I was really upset with that. And this is a game that
I was upset about the advertising of it.
Yeah. I mean, it looked good, but it wasn't what I feel like. I didn't get what I was told I was going to get.
Yeah, don't tell me this is a gameplay reveal. This isn't a gameplay reveal. A gameplay reveal is like, even if it's like 60 seconds, like I'm talking about, show me him walking around or her. I also wanted to see the Femme version, which I don't think we've seen yet. So I wanted to see the Femme Ivor as well. So I was hoping that there would be like a mix of them walking around, maybe in the world, maybe a little combat. There's the scene that's in there is like, I think there's like an axe thrown, and that's probably the in-game part, but it's slow motion, and so it's probably like, is that during a special fight? Is that a slow down move where you can like like that kind of thing? And to me, that's still not showing off how smooth your game is running. They're like, so now I'll go into just this entire thing. Like, this was your first moment, and Xbox has been doing such a good job of advertising Game Pass and like they've been communicating so well, but this is your first time to be like, hey, you should buy a Series X. And this wasn't it, Chief. Like, this was not the thing that says I should buy a Series X. That's probably going to come whenever they show off Halo and stuff. But like, why would you start with the indie parade? I don't get it.
Yeah, we gotta wait for July, by the way, for some Halo, which they straight up said at the very beginning. I mean, they'd already tweeted it out, but I feel like they had to verbally say it to make sure people were, people who didn't get the message before got it then. But yeah, looking at this, it looks great. I'm gonna play it. Like I said, Whitney's a huge fan of Assassin's Creed. By the way, those are some of the few games that we've been playing recently on the Xbox One X, because they are actually optimized for the Xbox One X as well, and they hardly talk about that. They look better on Xbox than they do on PlayStation or anywhere else because of that optimization. But yeah, it was a little disappointing, and I didn't get what I was told. It still looked great. It still looked wonderful, but my takeaway from this is I still don't have a reason to buy this console, especially like you said, Game Pass, getting the exclusives in, I believe they're almost always, if not always, day one with Game Pass. So Halo, if you're a Game Pass, you can play Halo on your PC. You can play it on your Xbox One X.
Xbox One.
Yeah, then you're fine. So again, I don't feel like I have a reason to buy it. And if the dongle is, you said 150, if it's 200 or less, I'm gonna buy it, because that's immediately gets me into the environment. So when they do have a year or year and a half after launch, when they have games, it's like, no, this is only on this generation forward, it's gonna work on that dongle as well. If it works on that dongle, I'm fine with that. Or on my PC, I'm fine with that too. My PC, right?
I do want to recognize that I am speaking from a slightly privileged standpoint here, where I have good internet. I have fiber. I have 150 up and down. I can run xCloud. I've run Stadia flawlessly at the house on multiple. On my Mac, I've run it on my PC, I've run it on Chromecast, no drops whatsoever at both 4K and then 1080,
Yeah.
Depending on what TV I was playing it on. So I understand that that is not going to be everyone's case. And if you are somebody like that doesn't have good internet, obviously you're going to be looking at the console instead. So I want to make sure I call it out. Don't get me wrong, I get it. It's just as a person who is, no matter what, like Sony would have to drop a giant load of crap on the PS5 for me to be like, maybe I don't want a PS5. Like, it would take a lot to turn me off, because even if it's just a better PS4 in terms of like putting my entire library on there and having 0 loading times, I'm already in.
Yeah.
Like to load Spider-Man, to load Red Dead, to load Final Fantasy VII in a matter of seconds, like that in. So yeah, I just don't understand. I don't get why this was the first video that they showed. I think it's great that you gave that third party spotlight. I think from that standpoint, that's good PR. That's good. Like, again, the biggest games here, Valhalla for 30 seconds, and then like 30 seconds of Madden, and then the rest of it, like Dirt was the only other like super notable franchise that probably a lot of people would recognize. Like Yakuza's even a little niche.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
I think that there's something to be said about that, but I think that you marketed it at, the title of this video was First Look Xbox Series X Gameplay. That's a bad title because there wasn't a lot of first look at the gameplay. Like, if you really, like, I guess you could say you didn't lie, because every single game had like a couple seconds at least, but it's not a selling point. It's just, and I really don't like being down. I really feel like a lot of times on this podcast, like, we're very obviously like PlayStation fans. I went into this very positive. I was pumped.
Yeah.
Me and Patrick were messaging each other like, excited. I'm like, we both took our lunch at the, to watch this video, like, where normally I would take my lunch later. I don't know about you, but
yeah,
I took my lunch specifically to watch this because I was excited that we're finally getting some next gen stuff, and it just, to come out of it with what we did was just a little,
Yeah, no, that's exactly how I felt. And I have the Xbox, I have PlayStation, I have all of the consoles. I play all of them, and there are certain ones that I play more than others. Same thing with you. The backwards compatibility, the speed of what I'm going to get with my my PlayStation, all the games that I have, being able to essentially swap that, be able to bring the PlayStation 4, put it in here, PlayStation 5 goes out there, and I'll be able to play most of my PlayStation 4 games on my PS5, because they've talked about that. I'm sure they'll have more that come out, just kind of like what Xbox did, but it's an easier sell for me. The Xbox environment is good, don't get me wrong, but if you're literally saying, hey, we're not going to put anything on there that's exclusive to this console, we're not going to put anything, Halo's the only thing, Halo, and I'm going to get Halo, I'm going to be able to play Halo on my Xbox One X, and it's going to look amazing. Sure, the Series X may load faster, and eventually I'll probably upgrade to one, because that is the next platform. But at the same time, if I have that dongle, maybe I just use the dongle. I don't know. Anyways, those are our thoughts on that. Again, we love Microsoft. We happen to play more PlayStation, but let us know what you thought. Did you think the presentation was that bad? Did it bother you that they were talking about gameplay and we didn't really get it, or did you just enjoy it and you were kind of along for the ride? Let us know in the comments. We'll see you next time.
Okay, bye.